This is the first video in a series of videos covering Redux Toolkit, and we will be building a to-do list app. To get started, just go to Google and then Redux Toolkit and click Getting Started. And if you scroll down, you will see we'll be creating a fresh new app. So use the npx create react app command to do that. So that's exactly what we'll do after this short intro here. We're going to run this npx create react app command, call our app to-do list, make sure we have the template flag Redux, and we'll get started. If you're here, you probably want to learn more about Redux and Redux Toolkit. And in the docs here, they say exactly what Redux is. Redux is a pattern and library for managing and updating application state using events called actions. It's a mouthful. I think another important part in this paragraph here is that we're trying to do this in a very predictable fashion. The docs also have some great diagrams here. For example, this one, you might have a view, so you'll have some UI component. Let's say for that, for us, that will be a form to create a to-do. That form will dispatch an action, and after that action is dispatched, it will go to our Redux store and it will update state. And once state is updated, it will in turn update our view, and so we'll have a new to-do available in our application. So you can see how it's very predictable. Another great diagram is the one they have here. So this is to deposit $10 into the bank account. So in the UI component, you'll click deposit $10. That action will be then dispatched by an event handler, and then that action will make its way to the Redux store. It'll make its way through functions called reducers. The reducers functions will update state, and then once state is updated, you will have the new UI ready to go. So it's a lot, but we'll walk through it step by step, and just to show you what we will have accomplished by the end of this first video, we will render our initial application state. Doesn't look like much, but if you inspect the page and you go to the Redux tab, I'll show you how to set this up. You will see our initial application state that is being rendered on the home page there. And I'll have the code available for you on my website, so I'll have the link for you in the description below. So if you go ahead and just register on the website, I'll provide you the code for this video. So let's go to the editor and get started right away. Just gonna paste in the command, and I'm gonna call the app to-do list. So go ahead and run the npx create react app command, and don't forget the template flag and Redux. And we can do exactly as they suggest. We can change directory into to-do list, and we can run npm start. Okay, so once the page loads, you can see we're greeted with the app that's already there for us, and it's a counter, so we can, increment, decrement, we can add by some amount, we can add asynchronously. You see, it took some time to add there. We can add if it's odd. Okay, so good. Before we go any further, I think I just want to show you like the really cool part of Redux and why I like it. If you don't already, you need to have Redux DevTools installed. So if you just Google Redux DevTools, you go here to the Chrome store. Make sure you have this installed. You see I already do, so I'm not gonna add it. And let's just reload the page so our counter is back to 0, and we're just gonna inspect the page. And okay, so if you just go to the so if you installed DevTools, you should just be able to have it here, Redux. So top right corner of the page, and you go to Redux, and you can see our state. It's a counter and has a value of 0. Okay, and the status is idle. I mean, great. So let's dispatch an action. Let's say we increment. So let's just add 1. And if we go back to DevTools, you can see we dispatched an action called increment, and our state after dispatching that action now has a value of 1. Okay, great. I don't know, let's add by 2. Okay, so now we're at 3. So now we dispatched a slightly different action. It's called increment by amount. And again, our state now is 3. And actually, if we click the difference tab up here, you can see state went from 1 to 3. And I think that's why Redux is really cool, and I enjoy it. So if we go back to the code, let's just stop the server for now. Okay. And so Redux and Redux Toolkit, they organize the app for us by feature. And so you just saw that we had a counter. We had a counter component. So I guess we can take a look. We had a counter component. So like this is the UI. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but like you can see the 2 actions that we dispatched. I think we did dispatch by amount. Okay, so on click, we dispatched this action. And once we dispatch the action, it goes to our counter slice, and it goes to our reducer functions. And so our reducer functions are the ones that are going to update the state for us. And so now we're in counter slice.js, and if you scroll down, so we have here a reducer that updates the state for us if it receives an increment action. So, you know, state value plus equals 1. So that's great. I mean, I think you kind of see the flow now. So again, back in counter.js, we dispatched increment by amount, or just, where's the regular increment? Okay, so here, on click, dispatch increment, and the counter slice file processes that for us, and it updates the state. So just to finish looking at all the important files, let's also look at index.js, and let's look at our store. Let's look at the store first, actually, before we look at index.js. So just organize them. Counter slice, now the store. And you can see that we have a counter reducer, which we defined in the counter slice.js file, and we just added to our store. So as the app changes, as we get new features, like we'll be adding reducers here. So for example, later on, we're going to have to do, and then we're going to have to do reducer. And then we're going to have, let's say, we're going to have another feature. It's going to be a timer feature. So we're going to do timer reducer. So I think you get the point. We're going to be adding our reducers here to the store. And in index.js is actually where we provide this store to our whole app. And you can see within the provider component, we provide the store. So again, I guess a lot of theory, a lot of talk. Let's start working on the to-do app. Let's keep going here and just actually implement all the theory that we've talked about. So we're going by feature. So let's just, you can keep the counter if you like, but I'm going to delete it for our project. So delete. I mean, you can comment out any reference to counter and just use it as a reference if you need it. But I'm gonna delete it, and I'm gonna create a new folder for us for a feature, and then I'm gonna call the folder, I think, to do. Okay, and so let's see. Let's just okay, and then so in the folder, I'm gonna create like a UI component, like they had counter. I'm gonna call ours to-do list JS, and I'm also gonna create a slice file where our reducers are gonna live, and I'm gonna call that to-do slice JS. Okay, cool. So we can start in to-do slice, I guess, and that naturally kind of leads us to the question of like, what is the state of our app? And so we're creating a to-do app. So if you don't mind, I'm just gonna paste in the initial state. And here we go. So our initial state is just gonna be 2 to-do items with an ID, title, some notes and category. And by the way, as you go through this tutorial, feel free to change things. Maybe add another attribute like author, and try to edit the app as you go. I think that's a great way to learn. But anyway, so our initial state is going to be initial to-do data. And so to use Redux Toolkit, we're going to have to import here create slice. From Redux, from at Redux, from Redux Toolkit, sorry. And we defined our initial states. Let's just be ready with that. And now let's use the create slice function here. So our to-do slice is going to be create slice, and create slice takes a couple of things. We need to name this slice, and we're going to call it to do. We need to define the initial state. And that's what we did up there. And we need to have our reducers ready to go. We're just going to leave them empty for now. Export default to do slice. So to have our reducers ready to go, we're going to export them, and we're going to import it here later in our store, like they did with the counter reducer. So our slice to-do slice file looks fine for now. Let's just go to the to-do list component, and in the to-do list component, we're going to import React, and we're actually also going to import a hook here called use selector. From React to Redux. Okay, let's just keep going here, and I'll talk a bit more about the use selector hook in just a second here. So let's just define our to-do list component. And this is where we will use the use selector hook. So we just write use selector, and from our state, just return the to-do state, because we can have many slices of state, but we're just focused on the to-do portion right now. So again, that's gonna bring in, you know, this for us. And obviously if it gets updated, it's gonna bring in the updated portion. And so, yeah, about the use selector, it brings in that portion of state for us. And anytime we dispatch an action, let's say like creating a new to-do, we'll update state. And then if our state changes, use selector will bring in a new value. And because we have a new value, we will re-render our component. So it's very powerful, and yeah, we'll be using it a lot. So I am just gonna paste in actually the rest of the UI, because I don't think there's a lot of value in you watching me type it out. You can pause the video and just type in the UI here, but basically I'm gonna map over the to-dos that we have in our that we've brought in with use selector, and I'm just going to go through each attribute like ID, title, category, and notes, and I'm going to create some UI. And then after that, let's just return so the class names are just for some basic CSS that we'll have in the app. So I mean, you can feel free to change it or just go with what I have. I mean, the CSS is not the focus, but you know, we still want our app to be presentable. So let's just section class name. I'm gonna give it a class name of to-do list. Okay, good. And within that section, let's just have a heading, my to-dos. Okay, and then let's just render the rendered to-dos. Okay, cool. Okay, so our UI component is ready. Our to-do list component is ready. Let's just go back now to the store, and as I was talking about before, we want to import the to-do reducer now. And let's see, it's in features, and we should just have the to-do folder now, and from the to-do slice. The reducer lives in the slice file, and as you remember, in to-do slice, we called it to-do, so the name here, and yeah, let's use that exact name here, to-do, and the to-do reducer. Okay, good. So the store looks good, and next let's just clean up index.js. And as I mentioned earlier here, we provide the store to the provider component, and the provider component provides it to the entire app. So we don't have to do anything here. I'm just gonna remove this web vital stuff. I'm gonna remove this. Okay, that's fine. Okay, and actually now we just also, obviously, we have to go to our app.js file and wrap things up here. So sorry, okay, app.js, we're now in app.js, and we can remove any reference to the counter, and we're gonna bring in our instead of the counter, we're going to bring in our to-do list component. Which is in the features folder. Okay, good. App.css, yeah, let's take a look at that. Let's get rid of what they have here. And if you don't mind, I'm just gonna paste in some very basic CSS for us. You know, feel free to change it. So app.css, good. Logo, we don't need the logo. We can get rid of that. And let's just clean it up a bit more. So, okay, we can get rid of, we can actually get rid of this too. So, define routes. So what we actually have to do now is define the routes for our app, and we're gonna be using React Router DOM. So I'm using React Router version 6, so specifically 6.5. So I suggest you just use the same one. So go ahead and install that. Okay, good. We need a few things from React Router. We need browser, router. We need routes and from where. That is from React Router DOM. Okay, good. And then so, yep, we can get rid of that comment. And yep, let's bring in browser router. Let's bring in routes. And now let's just define the route for our to-do list component. It's going to live in the root route here. And so that's the path. And what is the what component is it going to render? And we're just going to give it to-do list. Okay, but it's got to be the component. Okay. So that looks good. Let's just see. Let's run npm start. Sorry, yeah, so I think the error here is just that it should be title. And yeah, so we should have first to do and then the second to do. And let's just inspect the page. Console, no errors yet, good. And again, in the top right corner, if you installed Redux DevTools, which we're gonna need, if you just click Redux, you should see our to-do state, which is exactly the two to-dos which we defined as our initial state in the to-do slice file. So I mean, if you're here, you've done everything right, and let's keep going. Thank you for watching, and if this video was helpful, consider subscribing and giving it a thumbs up.